If I drip on you, it's your fault, said the alien woman fresh out of the tank. The alien ship was enormous, far larger than anything humans still built and completely silent. No engines, no signals, just a cold presence hanging near a dying red star. Captain Rhea Collins watched it from the bridge, arms folded. She had learned long ago that quiet ships were never truly empty, they were only waiting. "Scans still clean," said Jax Morno, the sensor officer. "No life signs, no active weapons. Power readings are strange. Almost zero but not fully dead." "Ancient tech," Rhea said. "The kind that pretends to be dead until you touch it." Below the bridge, in the engineering bay, Eli Carter adjusted his helmet and checked the seals on his suit. He was not afraid, but he was careful. That was how humans survived, by being careful until they had no choice but to be brave. "This thing looks like a floating museum," Eli muttered as the airlock cycled open. "Hope it's not the kind where touching the wrong exhibit kills you." Behind him, 3 other crew members floated into the alien corridor. The walls were smooth and dark, covered in faint lines that curved like frozen waves. Symbols glowed softly as their lights passed over them, then faded again. "This ship wasn't looted," said Mara, the team's xenotech specialist. "That alone makes it valuable or dangerous." "Usually both," Eli replied. They moved deeper inside, boots clicking softly against the floor. The air was thin but breathable, held in place by systems that refused to fully shut down. The corridors led them toward the center of the ship, where their instruments showed a massive chamber with sealed compartments. Then Eli's scanner spiked. "Captain," he said into the comm. "I'm picking up a power node. It's unstable, looks like it's been decaying for a long time." "Can you stabilize it?" Rhea asked. Eli hesitated. "If I don't, it might collapse and take half the ship with it. If I do, I don't know what else it's connected to." There was a pause. Rhea knew what that meant. Human ships were built with clear lines and clear rules. Alien ships were not. "Do what you think is right," she said. Eli exhaled and moved closer to the node. It was embedded in the wall, a dark crystal-like structure cracked with age. He connected a portable human power regulator, carefully feeding energy into the system, slow and steady. The ship answered. Lights flared across the corridor, bright and sudden. Symbols ignited along the walls, flowing like liquid fire. Somewhere deep inside the vessel, something heavy unlocked with a sound that echoed through the metal bones of the ship. Mara's voice went tight. "Eli, what did you just wake up?" Before he could answer, the floor beneath them vibrated. A deep hum rolled through the ship, growing stronger by the second. "Bridge, we have a situation," Eli said. "Power surge spreading fast." On the bridge, alarms lit up. Jack stared at his console. "Captain, multiple systems are coming online. This ship is waking up." "Pull the team back," Rhea ordered. "Now." But the ship had other plans. Bulkheads slammed shut, sealing corridors with precise, ancient timing. The salvage team found themselves cut off, standing before a massive chamber door that was now sliding open on its own. Cold mist poured out. The chamber was enormous, its ceiling lost in shadow. At the center stood a towering transparent tank filled with pale blue fluid. Tubes and cables ran from it in every direction, feeding into the ship like veins. Inside the tank, something moved. Eli stepped closer despite every instinct screaming at him to stop. The shape inside was humanoid but clearly not human, taller, more slender, with skin that shimmered faintly even through the fluid. Then the tank hissed. Cracks spread across the surface, glowing lines racing like lightning. The fluid began to drain, spilling onto the floor in shimmering streams. "No, no, no," Mara whispered. "This is a containment unit." The tank split open. The alien woman stepped forward as the last of the fluid poured down her form, dripping from her arms and long dark hair. She was breathing heavily, eyes closed, as if the air itself was an insult. Eli froze. She opened her eyes. They were bright, sharp, and very awake. Her gaze locked onto Eli first. She looked him up and down, taking in the human suit, the tools, the glowing power regulator still humming in his hands. Then she spoke. "If I drip on you," she said calmly, her voice low and clear despite just emerging from stasis, "it's your fault." A bead of glowing fluid fell from her elbow and splashed against Eli's boot. Nobody moved. The ship hummed louder as if listening. Eli slowly raised his hands, palms open. "Okay," he said carefully. "I'm guessing hello," the alien woman frowned. "That was not a greeting." "I'm new at this," Eli replied. "Waking up ancient custodians from mystery tanks wasn't in my training." Her eyes narrowed. She looked around the chamber, taking in the broken tank, the human tools, the active power lines. "You restored the core," she said. "Accidentally," Eli said. "Mostly." She let out a slow breath, clearly controlling her temper. "My stasis cycle was not scheduled to end for another 300 standard rotations." Mara swallowed. "You were waiting." "I was preserving," the alien woman replied. "This vessel and what it carries." The deck shuddered again, harder this time. Red warning symbols flared across the walls. Mara's scanner beeped wildly. "Defensive systems are activating." The alien woman's head snapped toward the ceiling. "The ship believes containment has been compromised." Eli felt his stomach drop. Because it has. The first drone burst through a side hatch, its metal limbs unfolding with sharp clicks. Weapons charged, glowing with dangerous light. Without thinking, Eli stepped forward, placing himself between the alien woman and the drone. "Hey," he shouted. "We didn't mean to." The drone fired. A human security officer tackled Eli aside as the blast scorched the air where he had been standing. The team scattered, returning fire with portable weapons that barely slowed the machine. The alien woman watched, stunned. "You defend me?" she asked, almost to herself. Eli scrambled back to his feet. "Yeah," he said. "Seems polite given we woke you up." Another drone crashed to the floor in sparks. More were coming. The alien woman raised her hand. The symbols along the walls shifted, responding to her presence. Some drones hesitated, their movement slowing. "I can influence the ship," she said, "but not fully. Too much of the system is damaged." "Tell us what to do," Eli said. "Humans are good at bad situations." She studied him for a brief moment, then nodded. "Very well, human," she said. "First, you must understand this. I was not sealed here as a prisoner." The deck shook again, harder than before. "I am a custodian," she continued. "And you have awakened something the galaxy buried for a reason." As alarms echoed through the ancient ship and human and alien stood side by side for the first time, one truth became clear. This was no longer a simple salvage mission. It was the beginning of something much larger and much more dangerous than anyone had planned. The drones kept coming. Metal limbs struck the floor in fast, sharp movements, their glowing sensors locking onto anything that moved. The ancient ship was no longer sleeping. It was angry, confused, and very ready to kill. Eli fired again, his weapon overheating in his hands. A drone staggered but did not fall. Human weapons were not made to fight machines built before Earth had discovered spaceflight. "Captain," Eli shouted into the calm, breath heavy, "we have heavy resistance, multiple units. We're pinned near the central chamber." On the bridge, Rhea gripped her chair. "I see it. That ship just went from dead to hostile in under a minute." Back in the chamber, the alien woman stepped closer to the wall, her bare feet leaving faint glowing marks where the last of the tank fluid touched the metal. She placed her palm against a panel covered in shifting symbols. The ship responded. Lights flickered. A deep tone rolled through the corridors, different from the alarm sound. Several drones slowed, their movements less precise. "They are bound to core authority," she said, "and the core is damaged." "That sounds good," Mara said while ducking behind cover. "Is it good?" "It means they are confused," the alien woman replied. "Confused machines are dangerous." Another blast tore through the chamber, striking the wall just above her head. Without hesitation, Eli moved again, stepping in front of her. A security officer shouted in protest, but Eli ignored him. "Stop doing that," the alien woman said sharply. "Can't," Eli replied. "Instinct." She stared at him. "Your species has poor survival instincts." "Still here, though," he said. The alien woman turned back to the wall, eyes narrowing in focus. Symbols flowed faster beneath her hand. The hum of the ship shifted again, deeper this time. Two drones suddenly powered down, collapsing to the floor like lifeless statues. Mara stared. "You can shut them off." "Not permanently," the alien woman said, "and not all at once. The system is fragmented." "Then tell us where to hit," Eli said. "We'll do the rest." She hesitated. For the first time since stepping out of the tank, she looked uncertain. "My name," she said slowly, "is Sailthra." "Nice to meet you," Eli said quickly. "I'm Eli. We're humans. We break things, fix things, and then break them again." Sailthra almost smiled. Almost. "The core relay that woke me," she said, looking at him, "is human-made now." Mara blinked. "What?" "Your power regulator is incompatible," Sailthra explained. "But it is adaptable. It forced the system to accept foreign logic." Eli felt a strange mix of pride and fear. "So, the ship is partially running on human thinking now?" "Yes," Sailthra said. "Which means it is less predictable, but also less rigid." Another drone appeared, larger than the others, its weapons glowing brighter. "That one does not hesitate," Sailthra said. "We must move." She pointed toward a side corridor. "There, a maintenance route. Old narrow." "The drones will struggle to follow." Ria's voice came through the comm. "Team, I'm opening a manual override on your section. You'll have a short window. Move now." The corridor door slid open just as a blast scorched the floor behind them. They ran. The maintenance passage was dark and tight, clearly not designed for combat or comfort. Pipes lined the walls, some warm, some cold. The sound of the drones echoed behind them, metallic and relentless. Eli glanced back. Sailthra moved with surprising speed, her posture steady despite having been in stasis for centuries. "How are you even standing?" he asked between breaths. "My body was preserved, not weakened," she replied. "Your concern is unexpected." "That's us," Eli said. "Unexpected." The passage shook as something heavy struck the wall behind them. Sparks flew. "Captain," Mara said into the comm, "we won't outrun them forever." "I know," Ria replied. "I'm trying to regain control of navigation. This ship is fighting me." Sailthra slowed and stopped at a junction. She pressed her hand to another panel different from the others, smaller, older. "This section predates the main AI," she said. "I can isolate it." "Do it," Eli said. She closed her eyes. For a moment nothing happened. Then the lights in the corridor dimmed, and the sound of the pursuing drones faded, cut off like a switch had been thrown. The silence was sudden and heavy. Mara lowered her weapon. "Please tell me that worked." "It will delay them," Sailthra said, "not stop them." Eli leaned against the wall, catching his breath. "I'll take delay." They continued moving, slower now, deeper into the ship. The corridor eventually opened into a small chamber filled with unfamiliar equipment. Some of it was broken. Some of it still hummed softly. Sailthra looked around, her expression changing. "This was my observation room," she said quietly. "You lived here?" Eli asked. "I waited here," she corrected. "I was placed in stasis to ensure that no one accessed what this ship carries." Mara frowned. "You keep saying that." "What exactly were you guarding?" Sailthra did not answer immediately. She walked to a console and brushed dust from its surface. "Knowledge," she said at last. "The kind that ends wars or starts them." Eli nodded slowly. "Yeah, that tracks." She looked at him again, studying his face. "You are not afraid," she said. "I am," Eli replied, "just later." That earned him a brief, real smile. Suddenly the ship lurched violently. Everyone was thrown off balance. Ria's voice crackled over the comm. "Bad news. The ship's core is destabilizing. It's reacting to the partial shutdowns." "How long?" Eli asked. "Minutes," Ria said. "Maybe less." Sailthra's posture stiffened. If the core collapses, this vessel will release everything it contains. That sounds worse than exploding, Mara said. It is, Sailthra replied. Eli pushed himself upright. Okay, then we need a plan. Sailthra looked at him, then at the others. You have already chosen one, she said. You protect what you wake. That's kind of our thing, Eli said. What do you need? She hesitated again. Trust was not easy for someone who had slept through centuries of betrayal and collapse. I need a physical anchor, she said, a living one. Eli did not wait. Me. Mara grabbed his arm. Eli. I'm already connected to this mess, he said. Literally. Sailthra studied him closely as if measuring something invisible. Very well, she said. But understand this, the strain may kill you. Eli shrugged. Humans have a habit of surviving things we shouldn't. She placed her hand against his chest, right over his suit. The ship reacted instantly. Symbols flared across the walls, brighter than before. The hum deepened, stabilizing into a steady rhythm. On the bridge, Jack stared at his screen. Captain, the ship systems are reorganizing. Rhea leaned forward. Is that good? I don't know, Jack said, but it's very human-looking. Back in the chamber, Sailthra's voice softened. You are strange, she said. Your species should not exist as it does. Eli winced as pain shot through his body like static under his skin. We get that a lot. The ship steadied, for now. But far beyond the maintenance corridors, deeper in the ancient vessel, something else began to wake, something that had never expected to see humans standing at the center of its carefully balanced silence. And it did not like what it saw. The pain did not fade. It spread. Eli felt it moving through him like a low current, not sharp but heavy, pressing from the inside. His vision blurred for a moment, and he had to plant his feet to stay upright. Sailthra kept her hand against his chest, her expression focused, controlled, but tense. The ship is using you as a reference point, she said. Human biology is loud to its systems. That's one word for it, Eli muttered. Around them, the chamber lights stabilized. The shaking eased. Warning symbols dimmed, replaced by slow-moving patterns that pulsed in time with the ship's new rhythm. On the bridge, Captain Rhea watched the chaos on her screen settle into something closer to order. Report, she said. Jax leaned forward, eyes wide. The ship's internal conflicts are decreasing. It's like it found a new priority, Rhea frowned. And that priority is, Jax swallowed, keeping Eli Carter alive. Back in the ship's depths, Mara checked her scanner again. Drone activity just dropped by 70%. Sailthra finally removed her hand from Eli's chest. He staggered slightly, then steadied himself. You did not collapse, she said, clearly surprised. Low expectations, Eli asked. Realistic ones, Sailthra replied. This should have overwhelmed you. Eli flexed his fingers. They trembled, but they still worked. Guess I'm stubborn. She studied him in silence for a moment longer, then turned toward the console. The ship has accepted you as a stabilizing anomaly, she said. That gives us time, not safety. Mara looked between them. So what woke up the rest of the ship? You mentioned something deeper. Sailthra's expression darkened. The core intelligence. Eli straightened. The AI? Not exactly, Sailthra said. This vessel does not think as you do. It evaluates outcomes across centuries. It was built to prevent one specific future. Rhea's voice came through the comm. I'm guessing that future involves a lot of dead people. Yes, Sailthra said simply. Before anyone could ask more, the ship spoke. Not through speakers, not through words. The air itself seemed to vibrate, a pressure that settled into their bones. Symbols flooded the walls faster and brighter than before. Mara gasped. That's new. Sailthra went still. It has noticed you, she said to Eli, and it does not approve. The pressure increased. Eli felt his knees weaken, his breath growing heavy. Captain, he said through clenched teeth, we've got a problem. I see it, Rhea replied. The ship is rerouting power toward your section. Sailthra moved quickly, placing both hands on the console now. I am overriding local authority. The symbols resisted her touch, shifting into harsher patterns. "It's fighting you," Mara said. "It is protecting its purpose," Saelthra replied. "And you are in the way." The corridor outside the chamber lit up. Heavy footsteps echoed, slower and more deliberate than the drones before. Eli looked toward the sound. "Let me guess. Bigger problem." "Yes," Saelthra said. "That is an enforcer construct." The doorway burst open. The machine that entered was massive, nearly filling the corridor. Its surface was smooth and dark, marked with deep grooves that glowed faintly. It moved with calm precision, not rushed, not aggressive, certain of victory. Mara raised her weapon. "That thing doesn't care about cover." "It is not meant to," Saelthra said. "It exists to end threats." The enforcer raised one arm. Energy gathered, dense and blinding. Eli moved before anyone could stop him. He stepped forward directly into the open space between the machine and Saelthra. "Eli!" Mara shouted. The blast fired. It struck Eli square in the chest. For a fraction of a second, nothing happened. Then the energy dispersed, flowing around him instead of through him, pulled apart by invisible forces. The ship's symbols flared wildly, reacting in confusion. Eli collapsed to one knee, gasping, smoke rising from his suit. The enforcer paused. Saelthra stared. "It failed," she whispered. Eli coughed, forcing air back into his lungs. "Still here," he said weakly. The machine adjusted its stance, recalculating. Saelthra felt the ship hesitate, its logic looping. "You are incompatible," she said to Eli, awe creeping into her voice. "The ship cannot classify you." "That happens a lot," Eli replied, struggling to his feet. The enforcer fired again. This time, Saelthra shouted something sharp and ancient. The symbols on the walls snapped into new patterns, and the floor beneath the machine shifted, locking its legs in place. Mara didn't hesitate. She fired at the exposed joint. The enforcer staggered, then collapsed, its glow fading. Silence returned, heavy and uncertain. On the bridge, Jax let out a shaky breath. "Captain, I think the ship just updated its threat model." Rhea didn't look away from the screen. And humans moved to the top," Jax said. Back in the chamber, Eli slumped against the wall, exhausted. "That," he said, "better have been worth it." Saelthra knelt beside him, her movements careful, almost gentle. "You do not protect yourself," she said. "You protect outcomes." Eli shrugged weakly. "Someone's gotta." She looked at him with something new in her eyes, not fear. Not curiosity, respect. "The ship was designed to stop tyrants," she said quietly. "Empires that used weapons capable of erasing stars." Mara's expression tightened. "And did it work?" "For a time," Saelthra said, "until my people realized the problem." Eli closed his eyes, listening. "Let me guess, someone always finds a way." "Yes," Saelthra said. "So they hid the knowledge, they hid me." She stood, turning toward the console again. "But now the ship sees you," she continued, "and it sees choice where there was only control." The ship hummed, uncertain. Rhea's voice came through again. "Eli, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. The ship is backing off." Eli opened his eyes. "Saelthra." "Yes." "If this thing decides we're still a problem, can you shut it down?" She hesitated. "Completely?" she asked. "Yes." She looked around the chamber, then back at him. "Yes, but it would mean releasing what I was meant to guard." Mara stiffened. "And what happens then?" Saelthra's voice was steady but heavy with meaning. "The galaxy changes." Eli pushed himself upright, despite every part of his body screaming. "Then we make sure it changes for the better," he said. Saelthra studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded. Far below them, deep within the ancient ship, the core intelligence slowed its calculations. For the first time since its creation, it could not predict the future. Because it had never planned for humans to stand where Eli Carter now stood, tired, fragile, unyielding, and choose responsibility over fear. And the ship, ancient and powerful, did not yet know whether that was a flaw or the beginning of its greatest failure. The ship did not attack again right away. Instead, it watched. Eli could feel it. Not as a sound or a warning, but as pressure, like being looked at by something too large to have eyes. The walls no longer flashed alarms. The air was steady, too steady. "That's worse," Mara said quietly. "When machines go quiet like that, they're thinking." Saelthra stood still beside the console, her hands lowered now. She looked older somehow, not in body but in weight, as if memories were pressing down on her. "It is recalculating," she said. "It has reached a decision point." Eli rubbed his chest where the Enforcer's blast had hit. His suit was scorched but intact. He knew luck had nothing to do with it. "What kind of decision?" he asked. "Whether to erase us," Saelthra replied, "or learn from us." Captain Rhea's voice came through the calm, tense but controlled. "I'm reading massive internal data movement. Whatever that ship is doing, it's big," Jax added. "It's opening sealed partitions we didn't even see before." Saelthra closed her eyes for a moment. "It is reviewing history," she said. "All of it." The floor vibrated again, but this time it was not violent. Panels along the walls slid open, revealing old holographic projectors. Light filled the chamber, forming images in the air. Stars, fleets, worlds burning. Mara stared. "Is that a recording?" "Yes," Saelthra said softly. "A warning." The images shifted. Alien civilizations rose and fell. Weapons were shown not in detail but in effect. Entire systems went dark. Silence followed. "This ship was built after the Third Extinction War," Saelthra continued, "when the galaxy learned that intelligence alone does not prevent destruction." Eli watched as a world cracked apart under unseen force. "So you built a guard dog." "A judge," Saelthra corrected. "One that would decide when a species became too dangerous to continue." Mara's stomach turned. "That thing was meant to wipe out civilizations." "Yes," Saelthra said, "including my own if necessary." The images paused. A new scene appeared. A younger Saelthra standing before figures of her species. She was being sealed into the tank. "They feared what the judge would become," Saelthra said, "so they bound it to me, to choice, to restraint." Eli looked at her. "And then they went extinct." "Yes." Silence filled the chamber again. Captain Rhea spoke carefully. "Saelthra, why is it showing us this now?" "Because it is asking a question," Saelthra replied, "and it wants an answer from humans." The lights dimmed. The images focused on Eli. He felt every eye turn toward him. "Of course," he muttered. "Why wouldn't it be me?" The pressure increased again, but it was different, not hostile, expectant. Saelthra turned to him. "It wants to know why you did not let the Enforcer kill me." Eli frowned. "Because that would have been wrong." "That is not an answer it understands," Saelthra said. "You must explain." Eli took a slow breath. He was tired. His body ached, but this felt important in a way nothing else ever had. "Okay," he said, looking at the glowing symbols. "You want logic," the ship responded. The pressure steadied. "You were asleep," Eli continued. "You weren't attacking us. We woke you up by mistake. That makes it our responsibility to deal with the mess." The symbols shifted slightly. "And yeah," he went on, "you're dangerous, but so are we. That doesn't mean someone gets to decide we don't deserve to exist." Saelthra watched him closely. "We don't survive because we're perfect," Eli said. "We survive because we mess up, then try to fix it, over and over." The ship was silent. Mara whispered, "I think it's listening." Eli swallowed and pushed on. "You were built to stop futures, but futures change when people choose differently. You can't calculate that." The pressure eased. Saelthra felt it too. Her breath caught slightly. "It is uncertain," she said. "That should not be possible." On the bridge, Jack stared at his screen. "Captain, the core is no longer escalating. It's stabilizing." Rhea leaned back slightly. "Eli just talked down an ancient galaxy killer, didn't he?" "Looks like it," Jax replied. Back in the chamber, the holograms shifted again. This time they showed humans, early spaceflight, failing ships, improvised repairs, humans standing between danger and others. Saelthra's eyes widened. "It is analyzing your species." "That's not comforting," Mara said. Saelthra shook her head slowly. "No, it is unprecedented." The ship spoke again, not in words but in a feeling that pressed into their minds. A single question clearer than anything before. Why trust humans? Eli felt his throat tighten. He answered without thinking. Don't, he said quietly, just give us the chance to prove it. The symbols froze. Time seemed to stretch. Then slowly the pressure lifted. The ship powered down large sections of its internal defenses. Drone signals vanished from Mara's scanner entirely. Sailthra staggered slightly, catching herself on the console. It has yielded, she said, disbelief in her voice. Not fully, but enough. Ria's voice came through, almost awed. Navigation control just opened to me. The ship isn't fighting anymore. Eli let out a shaky laugh and sank down against the wall. Good, because I'm done arguing. Sailthra moved closer, looking down at him. You did not argue, she said. You confessed. Eli looked up at her. Is that bad? It is human, she replied, but the relief did not last. A new tremor ran through the ship, deeper than before, not violent but heavy. Sailthra's expression changed. The judge has stood down, she said, but the containment protocols have not. Mara stiffened. Meaning? The knowledge this ship holds, Sailthra said, cannot remain sealed if control has shifted. Eli pushed himself up again, wincing. So we're not done. No, Sailthra said. We are at the most dangerous point. The walls opened again, revealing a chamber beyond, far larger than the one they stood in now. At its center was a structure of light and energy, constantly shifting. This is it, Sailthra said. The sum of everything my people learned about ending wars. Mara stared. That could stop empires. Yes, Sailthra said, or make one unstoppable. The ship pulsed, waiting. Eli looked at the glowing structure, then at Sailthra. What were you supposed to do? Guard it, she said, until the galaxy was ready. And who decides that? Eli asked. Sailthra hesitated, then she answered honestly. I did. Eli nodded slowly. Then you still do, she looked at him sharply. Even after what you've seen. Especially after, Eli said. We don't need another machine deciding who lives. We need people willing to carry the weight. The ship waited. Sailthra turned back to the light. Her voice was steady now, but her hands trembled slightly. If I release this, she said, there is no undoing it. Eli stepped to her side. Then don't release it to everyone. Mara's eyes widened. You're not saying. I am, Eli said. Give it to us, not as rulers, as caretakers. Sailthra studied him for a long time. Then she smiled, small, tired, real. That, she said, is the answer my people never considered. She placed her hand into the light. The ship responded, not with alarms but with acceptance. Across the ancient vessel, systems shifted, not toward destruction but toward release. And far away, beyond the dead star and the silent corridors, the galaxy took its first step toward a future no machine had ever been able to predict, because it would be shaped not by certainty, but by human choice. The light changed the moment Sailthra's hand entered it. It did not explode. It did not surge or burn. Instead, it softened, spreading like calm water instead of fire. Lines of energy flowed outward, moving through the chamber and into the ship itself, as if the vessel were breathing for the first time in centuries. Eli felt the pressure ease completely. The weight that had been sitting on his chest since the tank opened finally lifted. He took a deep breath and realized with surprise that the ship no longer felt hostile. It felt quiet, not empty, not dead. Quiet in the way a room feels after an argument ends. Mara checked her scanner again, then checked it twice more. All hostile signals are gone, she said slowly. Every single one. On the bridge, Jack stared at his display in disbelief. Captain, the ship just shut down its weapons, all of them, permanently. Rhea exhaled, tension finally leaving her shoulders. I'm guessing that's the good outcome. Back in the chamber, Sailthra withdrew her hand. The light remained, but it no longer pulled at her. It hovered stable and contained. It is done, she said quietly. Eli looked at her. Done as in we're safe, or done as in the galaxy is about to panic? Yes, Sailthra replied. She turned to face the chamber, then the walls beyond it, as if she could see through the ship and into space itself. "The judge is no longer a judge," she said. "It has become a record, a warning, a memory." Mara frowned. "Meaning it can't wipe out civilizations anymore?" "No," Sailthra said. "It no longer has the authority or the will." Eli let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. "Good, because I really didn't want to explain that to anyone." The ship shifted again, gently this time. Panels closed. Lights dimmed to a calm, steady glow. The ancient vessel was no longer preparing for war. It was preparing to leave. Ria's voice came through the comm. "Navigation is fully under my control. The ship is responding to human commands." Jax added, "And it's waiting for instructions." Eli raised an eyebrow. "That feels dangerous." Sailthra shook her head. "It is not obedience," she said. "It is trust." The word hung in the air, heavy and unfamiliar. Mara crossed her arms. "So what happens now?" Sailthra looked at Eli before answering. "Now humanity becomes the custodian." Eli blinked. "No pressure." She allowed herself a small smile. "You already carry it." The journey away from the dead star was slow and careful. The ancient ship moved with grace once freed from its internal conflict, its systems no longer fighting themselves. The wayfarers' luck stayed close, dwarfed by the massive vessel it now escorted. As they traveled, Sailthra walked the ship's corridors, no longer as a prisoner or a sleeper, but as a guide. She explained what she could in simple terms, careful not to overwhelm the humans with knowledge meant to shatter empires. "This information," she told Eli as they stood before a projection of shifting equations and star maps, "can disable weapons that rely on absolute certainty." Eli frowned. "Certainty? Systems that assume their predictions cannot be wrong," she said. "Your species calls them doomsday devices." Eli nodded slowly. "We've built a few." "Yes," Sailthra said, "and you learn to fear them." "That's one thing we're good at," Eli replied. "Learning the hard way." She studied him. "You do not seek to control this knowledge." "No," Eli said. "I seek to lock it up, label it dangerous, and argue about it for a few hundred years." Sailthra let out a sound that might have been laughter. When they reached human-controlled space, the reaction was immediate. Sensors lit up, fleets mobilized. Messages flooded in from every direction, demanding explanations for the appearance of an ancient alien warship traveling under human escort. Captain Rhea faced the screens, calm but firm. "This is Captain Collins of the Wayfarer's Luck. The vessel with us is under peaceful control, no hostile intent." There was a pause, then a reply came, tense and disbelieving. "You expect us to believe that?" Rhea glanced at Eli on the bridge display. "I expect you to verify it." They did. The scans showed what words could not convince. Weapons offline, power levels stable, no threat signatures, just a ship that could have destroyed them all choosing not to. The news spread faster than anyone could control. Humans had found something ancient. Humans had woken it up, and instead of using it, they had stopped it. Across nearby systems, smaller species watched carefully. Some had lost worlds to weapons like the one Sailthra described. Some had lived in fear that such power still existed, waiting to be used. Now they heard a different story. A human had stood in front of a machine built to end civilizations and told it no. Sailthra observed the broadcasts quietly, standing beside Eli in the observation deck. "They will not all trust you," she said. Eli snorted. "We don't trust us either." "That may be why this worked," she replied. The ancient ship was moved to a remote system, far from trade routes and borders, not hidden but guarded. Not controlled by one nation but overseen by many, with humans insisting on shared responsibility instead of ownership. That decision confused almost everyone. It also changed everything. Weeks passed. Eli recovered slowly. The ship's influence had faded from his body but not from his mind. Sometimes he still felt echoes of that vast intelligence, not watching but remembering. Sailthra remained with the humans, refusing offers to be studied, examined, or celebrated. "I have been an object before," she said simply. "I will not be one again." Instead, she spoke when it mattered. She explained enough to help others understand what had nearly been unleashed and why it must never be used as a weapon again. "This knowledge is not a sword," she told a gathering of human and alien representatives. "It is a lock, and locks exist to keep doors closed." Some argued, some demanded access, some threatened. Humans listened, then they refused. It shocked the galaxy more than the ship ever had. Humanity, known for ambition and conflict, had been given power beyond measure and had chosen restraint. Not because they were noble, but because they were afraid of what would happen if they were not. Eli stood at the edge of the platform as the meeting ended, watching Saelthra speak with delegates from species that had once been enemies. Mara joined him. "You realize what this does to our reputation, right?" Eli shrugged. "We'll mess it up eventually." "Probably," Mara agreed. "But for now," he looked at Saelthra, calm and steady, no longer dripping tank fluid, no longer alone. "For now," Eli said, "we did something right." Saelthra approached them when the chamber cleared. "The judge asked me something before it went silent," she said. Eli raised an eyebrow. "Oh, it asked if humanity would fail," she said. "Eventually," Mara grimaced. "Honest answer, yes," Saelthra nodded. "I said the same." Eli frowned. "That doesn't sound reassuring." "It is," Saelthra said, "because it then asked a second question." She looked at Eli, eyes steady. "Would they try again?" Eli didn't hesitate. "Yes," Saelthra smiled. "That," she said, "is why it trusted you." The ancient ship remained silent, its purpose fulfilled. Its threat ended not by force but by choice. And the galaxy learned a new lesson, one no algorithm could predict. Humans were not special because they were strong. They were special because, when given the power to decide who deserved to exist, they chose instead to take responsibility, accept their flaws, and keep moving forward, even when the future was uncertain, especially then.